And we are ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before we start the meeting, I just want to wish everybody that a happy new year, if I didn't get to you already. And thank you for your participation throughout 2000 and for the latter part of 2022. And I look forward to working with you all in the new year. So we'll call the meeting to order at 12:32. And we'll have, first of all, we'll have a moment of silence for our soldiers and citizens, and we're thinking particularly of the people that are in Ukraine and the challenges they are having. Thank you. Next, we'll have a moment of territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land, and specifically our neighbors of the Almaquo First Nation, Alderville First Nation, with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the township of Almaquo is located on the Mississaugan Anishinaabe territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississaugan Anishinaabe. The township of Almaquo respectfully acknowledges that the Mississaugan Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Seeing none, that will duly be recorded. Approval of the agenda is circulated. Be resolved the agenda for the special council session of Wednesday, January 4th, 2023 be approved as circulated. Because of mover and seconder for that, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Are there any agendas? Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
Staff
microphone.
inadvertently missed the declaration of pecuniary interest from Deputy Mayor Stover at our December 15th meeting.
Okay.
The minutes. So we'll have to amend those minutes and put that into the minutes. So we're just recording it now so that we can amend the minutes, have them approved.
Okay, thank you. Are there any agenda additions?
Not the regular, no.
Thank you. Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? The motion is carried. Next, we're going to stick, and that's a presentation. And today we have David McGlennon, WWD McGlennon Insurance Broker Limited, regarding the Township Insurance Program for 2023. David's here in the audience. We'd like him to come to the front and make the presentation. Thanks for coming, David.
Thank you for having me. Nice to be back in person.
Yep.
Is that loud enough for?
Oh, sure. Let me just turn that on.
Through you, Mayor Lobo, do we need a motion to have this presentation on the floor?
There is a resolution here.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Normally you don't do that.
It's more the delegation.
Oh, for a delegation. Okay. Okay, so Be resolved, the council of the township of Albert permit Dave Glenn to take the floor to make a presentation to council regarding the township insurance program for 2023. That moved by Councillor O'Neill and seconded by Councillor Booth. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carried. Now you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank
Do
you.
you know everybody, Dave?
Yes, I met everyone in one capacity or another,
Okay.
personal or professional, both. And, yeah, I just met today. So, yeah, congratulations. It seems a long time since the election, but great to see familiar faces back and new faces, everybody. You are committed, council, everybody is very community oriented, so it's good to see that commitment at this municipal level in our area. Doesn't always happen in politics, but that's good. So 2022 was another strange year with insurance. We had a lot more violent events, weather events. Premiums have increased dramatically. There was finally a bit of, I don't know if the stars aligned, but as Mayor Lobo would recall, maybe Deputy Mayor, Frank Cowan was the insurer for the municipality for many years. They were purchased by Intact. So a few years ago, became Intact public entities, and premiums have just gone skyrocketing. You've noticed my covering letter. Their renewal premium for 2023 was quoted at 577,000, up from 400 and roughly 500,000. So it's been double-digit increases for the last 5 years. So as I wouldn't say luck, but hard work, we had Biano Chalia, who was with Frank Cowan, and I know Mayor Lobo has met, went to work for Marsh McLennan, formerly the JLT program. They've been doing municipal insurance for years. And he was quite eager to provide a quote and at a considerable savings. The only real major change in deductibles, everything is the same, coverage is the same as you had before. They have wrongful dismissal deductible went from $5,000 to $10,000. That's basically the only change. Discussions with Troy, we were trying to get it done before January 1st, so we wouldn't have to have any overlap with Intact and deal with partial premiums and that sort of thing. So I want to thank Troy and council for looking at the last minute. Even though we started this process in October, well, before that, but it's the last week, you get the last things coming in, we're still getting stuff finally for other clients. So I want to thank everyone for the savings were just too good to pass up. A few $1,000s difference in premium, if the service is there, and it hasn't been the same since Intact took over. They're a big faceless company, I guess, and they all are, but there seems to be less commitment to the clients, which really struck me over the last couple of years. So
Just a quick comment, Biano, several, I talked to him quite a few times. He was, when he worked for the previous one with
Frank Cowan,
Frank Cowan.
yes,
They provided just absolutely excellent service.
yeah, unparalleled service, and they've been doing it for 70, 80 years
Yeah.
from
So
Frank Cowan himself.
I'm hoping Biano, well, I know Biano well enough to.
Yes.
I'm sure he'll do exactly as he did before.
Absolutely, yeah, he's in our corner, and we really didn't have that as much with the other companies. I mean, there are other Aon is a provider, BF Lawrence City, who I'm not sure if they sold, but they don't have the commitment to municipal that I've seen, at least. So I was more than happy to recommend it. And the savings to the municipalities for similar coverage is just no question.
Yeah.
That it's a good it's a good fit. So I'm not sure at this point if you want me to go through the proposal. There are a couple of things left over from Cowan did a couple of audits that I'm going to follow up with Troy and perhaps Brian, similar to what we went through with fire departments several years ago. We transitioned from volunteer fire chiefs. The bureaucracy, the government involvement, which translates into risk management. There was a little bit of a concern with Marsh that the township had a couple of large auto claims, fleet claims, fire truck, dump truck, and a lot of those you can't really plan for, electrical fire, that sort of thing, weather events, but there were just some areas where things need to be tightened up a little bit, and I'm going to work with staff, obviously. And it's nothing against the municipality, but insurance companies are looking at things more closely, like most companies are. So they're picking things apart, and you don't want to give them any excuses to jack your rates up unnecessarily. So if you can justify things, as we've said over the years for claims, document claims, slips and falls, that sort of thing, documentation is huge. And now it's following in, and the fire departments have had to do that as well. I spoke with Dave Dawson, a couple of weeks ago, and he outlined some stuff that they have to do, and it's beneficial from a risk management standpoint for the whole municipality. You want to protect the citizens, so your premiums aren't, you're not looking at $750,000 a year for insurance in 5 years. So that's the big concern, not a concern, but something that I want to work with staff with, and we'll get that done as well.
And I think you mentioned Brian from Public Works, is that what you're?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and well, we're just dealing with the fleet list, getting up to date lists. We've all talked back and forth and had some discussion. And the new building up north, the new works building, so that's going to be something that's not included here, but it will involve an increase in premium because the value is a lot higher. But it's not going to be over $250,000. So, yeah, and that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions or comments.
Just maybe a couple of clarifications for me through so on the endorsement part of it, the pure fluorinated compound, I'm kind of confused on that. Can you explain that?
I have a question in to them. That's the first time I've seen that, so I don't know if Troy has seen that before, or I don't know what that is. It's something brand new that I haven't seen before.
I just kind of wonder if that would include our well, or any actions that might happen there.
Maybe we can get some clarification and we can send them all out to the council. Get a better description.
Yeah, I think because you have lakefront, I believe,
Yes.
what operates the water treatment plant, that's a situation where you need to look at your contract quite closely, so that anything that they do, they're in their control, and they're owned by the municipality. They are operated that way and under the control of lakefront. So any agreement with them should hold Palmer Calderman, and Palmer Calderman should be added as an additional insured on lakefront policy regarding the water treatment, because that could be, as we've seen over the years, with contaminated water system and sort of boil order advisories, it can result in a claim for sure.
Yeah, so if I'm looking at this right, does it say that it's not covered if something happens?
Correct, yeah. That exclusion only applies to the water treatment and the water supply.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But that is excluded.
And just another clarification too, so road insurance is $25 million liability, and this one is kind of broken up. 5 for this, 5 for that.
They were both broken up. The previous one, it was 20 million, the base policy, and 5 million umbrella. This is different, so the underlying limit is 5, and then it adds up to the same amount. They're both 25 million total coverage.
So if we had a liability issue for, say, $10 million.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get caught.
No, no,
Yeah, okay.
no,
Okay.
no, it's anything up to 25 million is covered.
Thank you.
Mike, I think we should, well, perhaps, or can we do that? We have a motion to check out, with, make sure that we check out, Lucy and make sure that they are covered properly. We are, yeah. Would you mind putting a motion to that, Mike?
Yeah.
The staff will investigate, make sure that we are fully covered under Lucy.
Yes.
Can I get a second for that? Seconded by Council Booth, all in favor? Gary? You're finished, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, Deputy Controller, you have a question?
Yes, Dave, I mentioned to you earlier about the counselor numbers. They have us down to
Yes.
5 or
Yeah.
7, and we are 5.
Yes.
As well, could you provide a little more detail in what the volunteers insurance, what they're covered for?
Sure, it's full coverage under the liability of the municipality while they are volunteering on behalf of the municipality. They don't have to be a member of a committee. They don't have to be formally recognized. But any claim that would be brought against them as a result of their volunteering is included in this liability up to 25 million. So all volunteers are covered. It's very broad coverage.
Whether they're registered or not, as long as.
Whether, yes.
As long as
So
we
you
agree that they're doing something.
yeah, if you say to me, can you come and help with the Canada Day or whoever?
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, absolutely, or whoever it is, Joe Blow comes and does it at the last minute, they're covered.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good question, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
Anybody else?
important to get volunteers, you know, to know that they are covered, because some people are reluctant perhaps to do that.
Yes. Absolutely. Go ahead, Joe.
Just one more thing, through your Mayor Lobo. So this is strictly liability you're talking. Is that the only coverage that the volunteers have?
Yes, there's no accident coverage if they're hurt while volunteering. That only covers members of council. There's an accident.
Or dismissal or anything like that, it's not covered?
Well, you'd have to have the municipality is covered for wrongful dismissal, so that relates to employees,
But not volunteers.
not volunteers.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead. Council Booth.
Thank you, for your worship. I just wanted to thank you, Dave, very much, because it's nice to see that we're going to save over $150,000 just from last year. I know last year when we were doing the budget, we got surprised at the very end with a huge increase.
Yes,
So this is actually going to be a nice thing from budget that we just saved $150,000. So thank you very much.
yeah, well, it's my pleasure. It's nice to come with some good news.
Yes, it's not often we get good news here, so thank you.
Such great.
Motion of full.
One thing I would mention as well, Marsh did advise me that they could do a 2-year term. So now the premiums are slightly higher in the second year, and it does give them leeway. If there were an extreme event, they could increase it over and above that. But if that would be interest to council, I would highly recommend it, just the way the premiums are going. If there can be a little bit more certainty, then not that there's ever certainty in the insurance business, but that is an option, and I can contact them today and let Troy know what that would be. But it seems, they're not going down, premiums aren't going down. But if they can hold the line somewhat, under 5%, then I think that would be something I would recommend.
And you're paying, you don't pay upfront or nothing?
No, it would be just for 2024.
Yeah, I guess, go ahead.
To you, Mayor, well, maybe what you can do is provide me the information.
Yes.
I'll bring a report to council and we'll make a decision.
Yes, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Perfect. Mayor Catherine, I think everybody up.
Thank you, Mayor Lobo. One of the issues when we were campaigning was with culverts and water flow and quick, like really heavy rainfalls and flooding of personal property. So
Yes.
I'm not sure if that's in there under the environmental piece or where or what we need to do about that.
Yeah, there's a small amount of coverage. I'm not sure the limit if it's 50,000. There is some coverage for culverts. And if they're, I can't remember the name of the act, there is an act, a municipal act that governs culverts and that sort of thing, that the municipality would be subject to, I believe. Troy would know from his.
Probably the Drainage Act.
Yeah, I think that's it, yeah. So there is some coverage. I can get more details on that.
So yeah, I just found that then the voluntary payment for property damage is what you're referring to.
Yes, yeah, if it's,
So, yeah, we might need more, because that would say if we had 5 properties where it came to, I don't know, 180,000, that would be,
yes. I know there have been instances in the past with water damage, and in all of those cases, the homeowner's policy would be primary. And normally what happens, their home insurer would pay, and then they'd go after the municipality, and say, cough up because it was your culvert, your lack of maintenance or improper plowing, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I will certainly look into higher limits for that.
Is that $50,000 you were talking, is that per incident or?
That's per incident. That's per incident.
oh, okay, sorry, thank you.
Yeah, but if someone gets a flooded basement, those claims have now overtaken fire as the #1 payout. You could get $200,000 in a flooded basement quite easily these days. You got hardwood floors. And, yeah, it's quite dramatic. And we're going to see more of those with more extreme weather, unfortunately.
Oh, go ahead. Deputy Mayor.
Just one more question, Dave, through you, Mayor Lobo. As we go through our different policies and procedures, if we feel that we need more coverage on certain areas, is this something that's done throughout the year without jacking up our premiums too much?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we can certainly negotiate depending on the coverage and the amount that you're looking at increasing, but yes, it can be done. And because your premiums have dropped so dramatically, I would probably guess that it wouldn't be a huge amount.
Thank you.
Okay. Dave, thank you very much for your presentation.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Once a year.
Yeah.
You're bringing back a big pot full of money at the end of next year.
I missed you for a couple of years, but
Yeah,
we got it done.
and even if we do decide to say, go for the 2-year term, we'd love to have you back.
Oh, I definitely will, yeah. And anytime throughout the year, I mean, I'm just down the road, and if something comes up, we have come to council anytime.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Yes. So I'd like, I'll take a motion that I would request that staff look into the second year price and bring it back to council. So it's going to be moved by Councilor Booth, second by Councilor Reed. All in favor? Motion's carried. Good. Okay, next we have report to the administration, and the report is from Pat Kemp, dated January 4th, 2023, regarding the DocuPet dog licensing platform. So Pat, you have some information for us?
Yeah, so, Mayor Lobo, members of council, you asked for me to go back and get some information for you. So the animal control budget in 2021, the dog licenses sold was $1,360 and the expenses were $34,639. In 2022, it was, the licenses sold was $1,585 and the expenses was $25,000. And I also provided you with the cost of the Northumberland Humane Society. And based on our share, we pay $31,000. We're billed $6,500 quarterly, and then we have an upset limit in case it goes over that of $4,968. So council has the decision of either going with DocuPet. In order to implement this program, there's an upfront cost to our township of $1,450. And the monthly fee is $79, which is $948 annually. So the startup cost in 2023 would be $2,398. And the annual cost in 2024 would be $948. I did get an email from Bob Hunter yesterday asking if they made a decision. I let them know that we would be discussing it at the meeting. And I let them know about it today.
Thank you.
So both Port Hope and Hamilton are going to adopt that.
Rebecca, you have a question?
Yes, through you, Mayor Logo. The total annual cost for Owenwood Haldeman, given that we have half the population of Hamilton and even less than half of Port Hope, I believe, seems disproportionately high. Is that because they are having to provide a lot of services to us out here?
It was based on the previous agreement, and so I think once we go through a cycle, it may differ. But that's how they came out with the original.
Right.
And was
So there's no, sorry, if dogs are returned immediately because they have a tag on, would that, in my mind, I'm thinking this is going to reduce the cost rather than them having to be in the shelter and all of that kind of, so you're saying, yes, that would be, okay.
now Corbett was part of that group before. Are they coming in?
I don't know if they're part of the document because they left prior to the disbanding of the animal shelter. So
And do you know both Grammy, whether they were,
I don't honestly know. It was only the three of us
Yeah.
since I've been here.
Grammy, I believe was not part of the contract, but they helped pay for the animal shelter. At one time, whatever, something.
Okay.
And I guess my other question, was that, how about, First Nations in Aldergrove? Are they part of this agreement or
They're not.
something we should look into? Because, I think historically, when there's been a dog loose on their properties, and we were billed, I believe, somehow, or it did come up to us a few times anyways. I can't say that we were billed, but I know there was some disputes that we had to handle because some of the dogs on one side bit the other one. It's that kind of thing. So maybe something we should look into. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
For you, Mayor, Pat, question. Can you explain these expenses? Like by looking at the dog licensing sold, we made $1,585, but the expenses were $25,000.
So that's for the contract. So that's for the Humane Society to go and get the dogs if we need them, to issue orders if there's a dog that bites somebody. So it's expenses associated with having an animal control system.
And is that something we can do without?
No, municipality under the Dog Liability Act, we're responsible for animal control.
So so the total annual cost of 31,000, that yearly?
That's yearly, yes.
If I can add on that, does that include the dog pet? Or that's above and beyond that too?
That would be on, beyond the kids. And I think, excuse me, if council were to choose to go with the DocuPet, then I think we really need to do a selling job at getting people registered so that they can be annually renewed and then as Councillor O'Neill mentioned, it should cost us less money if the dogs have tags on them and they can track down the owner sooner than putting them in the pound and then having to go through that process.
I was gonna say, what happens when they don't have a tag and they go over the pound?
They have to buy one.
They have to buy them then? If
Once they get
found
tracked,
it?
if they can find a few,
Yeah.
yes.
But I agree with, if it was Councillor O'Neill or mentioned it, whoever, but it's a good idea for us to make sure that people have the opportunity to pay. However, we promote that is, I guess, our business. It's something that, you know, it's a responsible thing for a pet owner to do.
And I know the Humane Society said that they'd be willing to go out like to a Canada Day function or some other function that the municipality might be holding and have a booth set up there to advertise and also to promote so that we could sell more tags and get more dogs.
Councillor,
Through you, your worship, just to answer Councillor Ainsworth's question too, it was very expensive because of the staffing and everything, Mike, that, you know, that money gets towards the staffing and the building and everything. So, I mean, if we're gonna have that coverage, you have to pay for everything, right from the start. So that's why it becomes sort of an expensive thing.
and you have to have it. That's by law.
Yeah, this is a cheaper route than trying to do your own.
Oh, yep. Councillor O'Neill?
I did have someone just before Christmas contact me and it was sort of other things, but it was bylaw and he's like, well, if you have a bylaw about dogs, it has to be enforced. And we are required to have the bylaw, so then we must enforce it. I mean, it's, yeah.
Councillor Ainsworth?
For you, Marilyn, I just wanted, Councillor Booth, so you're saying if we take this dog lesson thing here, going to get rid of the annual cost that we now have, so it's just going to be an add-on.
No, I was just referring to when we talk about the $31,000, the agreement we had before, which I believe was the dog pound in Hamilton, right? The municipalities were all together and that was disbanded. Coburg left and I believe everybody split their ways and they got rid of the building and the staff and everything like that. And now we've joined with the Humane Society and either way, it's an expensive, you know, if we were looking at doing it ourselves, we would be spending way more money. So it looks to me, if I'm reading this right, we're going to pay the 31,000. If we want to do the DocuPet thing, it's going to cost us another 1,900 or whatever, right?
2,300 or 2023, 2,300 in 2023, and then in 2024, another 400 or $948.
Plus the 31,000, which is committed anyway, right? So we're not discussing the 31,000. That's already been agreed to last year when we did that, but it becomes a very expensive proposition, right?
Well, the thing of it is, there is no way of user fees paying for that, and that's what our responsibility is. Make sure that user fees are paid. Mayor Catherine?
I was just the same point, Mayor Lobo, that this should lead to more cost recovery for this, but also I go back to, I think the 31,000 can come down if fewer animals end up at the pound because they have something that gets them to their rightful owner right away.
Should.
Yeah. Is it like a cost recovery thing with the pound or with the Humane Society? The more we use it, the more we pay.
No.
And that's the total amount we get. If we use it a lot, we aren't going to be increased in fees at all.
Pat, I'll ask you, but I thought you said it would be actually a little bit less, you know.
Right, so we pay a base amount, and if we go over the base amount, then we would be charged. If we were under, I don't know if they would refund your money right away, but it probably would reduce your cost in the future.
Councilor Edgewood?
I was just going to say, like, we definitely need to find some cost recovery out of this for sure. I mean, if I look at the municipality, there's a lot of taxpayers paying for teaching dogs than there are that don't have dogs. So I would say if we're going to do this, we need to start a program where we're going to actually try to get everybody in the municipality to buy a dog tag or jump on this here, because I mean it's a lot of money. We're looking at $34,000 to teach the dog in our township, and we probably got a lot of residents that don't have dogs. So I say if we take something like this on, we should also take on the importance of policing and getting serious about it, and even putting this out to, if we put out a newsletter that we put this in here and break it down, what's costing them, and why we do it, and where we need to go to afford it and why.
I think that's a good idea. In fact, if you want, I'll put it in my little message from the mayor and remind them, and then we'll do that perhaps this year, and then if we have to get a little bit more stronger, we can do that next year.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm not sure if someone brought it up that about bringing to any events that we have, bring them in here and start, getting it out in there, getting it communicated.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Just through you, your worship, Pat, just one more question. So if we tried this for a year or two, Pat, and we decided it wasn't for us, are we able to just withdraw and just say we're not paying that?
There is a notice period, but it is not, I think it's 3 months.
So it's not a penalty like you just,
No.
okay. So I agree with Councilor Ainsworth. It might be best that if we do this and then we promote it and really get going, because I know, there is a lot of dogs out there, and it's just the trouble ones that they have to deal with, right? And that usually becomes a bylaw issue too with Daryl, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we discussed it fairly full. I believe everybody thinks we should go ahead and document. We'll all read the motion. We resolve the Council of Township of Elmwood, Sullivan received a report from clerk dated January 4th, 2023, and further that the council direct staff to proceed with option 1 or option 2 as outlined in the clerk's report.
Often when they're not.
Option 1 is DocuPet, so can I have a mover for that? Moved by Councilor O'Neill, seconded by Councilor Booth. Any further discussion? All in favor? DocuPet goes ahead. Okay, next we're going into bylaws. And our first bylaw is number 022023, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 132, 2022, to appoint members of the Township of Elmwood Alderman Council to boards, committees, and as a representative on related agencies for the term of 2022 to 2026. Be it resolved that bylaw number 02-2023, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 132-2022, to appoint members of the Township of Elmwood Alderman Council to boards, committees, and as a representative on related agencies for the term 2022 to 2026, be read and deemed to be passed this 4th day of January 2023. Any questions, comments? Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor O'Neill. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, that, ends our portion of the, open meeting, so we'll be going into close. And I'll ask that, I get a motion to recess and go into closed session. So the council and the township of Isle will be recessing to a closed meeting session under section 239(2) to consider personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Relative to staff, and this is relative to staff performance appraisals and review of applications for the township committees, with the CAO, clerk, and deputy clerk remaining in attendance. And we'll stop out at 1:15. So I need a mover and a seconder. And moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? The motion is carried. Okay. 9.2 on the regular agenda is to come back on the oh, confirmed by.
No, I first need a motion to reconvene.
Yes. So, I need a motion to reconvene to regular session. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Ballincollig reconvene to the regular session at 4:05. I'm a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Stover, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Approval of the confirming bylaw number 30/2023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the special council session held on Wednesday, January 4th, 2023. Be resolved that bylaw number 2023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the special council session held on Wednesday, January 4th, be read and deemed passed this 4th day of January 2023. Mover and seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. And the final motion is a motion to adjourn. Be resolved in the special session of council of Wednesday, January 4th, 2023, to be adjourned at 4:08. Mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, if we call